This week, Donald Trump threatened more war crimes on the people of Iran. We are now in the most dangerous phase of this crisis, and pretending otherwise is reckless. As a human rights lawyer, I do not view war as an abstraction, not as a chessboard, not as a television spectacle. I view it in terms of law, civilian life, state accountability, and foreseeable human devastation. If we are honest about this present moment, there are only 4 possible scenarios of what happens next. 3 are catastrophic. The 4th is the only one consistent with constitutional government, international law, and basic human survival. It is also one that Donald Trump is least willing to accept, but one that Congress must rally to ensure happens. Welcome to Let's Address This with Qasim Rashid. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Let's Address This with Qasim Rashid. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so we can continue to protect your human rights and our democracy. As of Monday of this week, the United States and Israel has killed at least 1,200 Iranians in their illegal first strike war on Iran. Most of them are civilians. Up to 1/3 of them are children, including the near 175 children killed by a U.S. military Tomahawk missile in Iran. Iran's response has been to target military bases, resulting in reportedly 6 U.S. soldiers killed and 13 Israelis killed, though several people suspect far more U.S. soldiers have been killed. Now, Trump is promising death, fire, and fury, and 20 times the damage if Iran does not unconditionally surrender. In other words, he is threatening more war crimes and potentially genocidal language. The fact is, we are running out of time to prevent irreparable global catastrophe. And right now, we have 4 possible paths ahead of us. One of these 4 paths will happen. It is up to us to rally and ensure the option that happens is number 4, even though right now it seems the most unlikely to happen. Option number 1. The first scenario is that Trump eventually admits defeat and withdraws from Iran. In purely human terms, that would be preferable to escalation. But it would still come after an illegal war has already been launched without constitutional authority and under a pretext that has not been substantiated. Even now, Trump has provided no evidence of any wrongdoing by Iran, any attacks by Iran, or any plans to attack by Iran, let alone them possessing nuclear weapons. The geopolitical consequences, however, of this option would be significant. A failed American war would further erode U.S. credibility and likely accelerate a broader shift in influence towards China and Russia. Iran, having survived direct U.S. and Israeli assault, would emerge emboldened and proclaim victory. Oil may no longer be pegged to the U.S. dollar as the global currency, devastating the U.S. economy. None of this is favorable, though this is the bed Trump has made so far. But also, compared with what options come next in 2 and 3, this is still a preferable option. Option 2. The second scenario is a ground invasion. Trump has not ruled it out. He has also not ruled out a draft either. The Pentagon is already reportedly preparing to seek roughly $50 billion in new funding for these Middle East operations, a strong indication that the administration is contemplating a longer and more expensive war. A quick reminder that politicians lie when they say they cannot fund universal health care or free public college or free school lunches or affordable housing. They could do so if they choose to, just like they're choosing to fund this horrific war. Anyone speaking casually about a land invasion of Iran is either ignorant to the facts or indifferent to the lives that would be destroyed, or a combination of the two. Invading Afghanistan and Iraq was already catastrophic. As we've cited before, a Brown University study documents an estimated 4.6 million civilians killed by Western wars since 2001. And Iran is not Iraq. Iran is about 1.63 million square kilometers, which is about triple the size of Iraq. It is a population of about 90 million people, which is double the size of Iraq. Its largest city, Tehran, has a population of nearly 10 million people, larger than New York City. It is geographically vast, it is heavily populated, it is politically complex, and it has a formidable military. A U.S. ground invasion would not be a quick operation. It would be a regional inferno. Potentially millions could die. The global economy would likely be pushed into a prolonged recession. And because major powers would not passively watch this major war unfold, the risk of broader world war would rise dramatically. Option 3. The third scenario is the use of nuclear weapons by Israel or the United States. That is one scenario many people resist discussing openly because it sounds just too terrible to be true. But refusing to contemplate it does not make it less real. This is not hyperbole. Research published in Nature Food and highlighted by Rutgers University found that a large-scale nuclear war could kill more than 5 billion people through famine, through system-wide collapse, even apart from the immediate blast. In ordinary language, this means the deaths of 4 to 6 billion human beings within a relatively short period of time, all within the first 2 years, all beyond just the blast radius. It would be worse than any Hollywood film can imagine because movies still assume that civilization survives in some recognizable form. Nuclear war promises no such survival. It promises planetary ruin. Thus, we must avoid nuclear war at all costs and push for option 4. Moreover, the Israeli government has 200 nuclear weapons that it refuses to allow anyone to inspect. It is in violation of international law. Everything it accuses Iran of doing, it has actually done itself. We cannot afford global nuclear war. Thus, we must push for the only humane option, which is option number 4. This fourth scenario is the only morally serious option. In this scenario, Trump resigns or is impeached, the war is halted, and actual peace negotiations begin with a new administration. With Trump removed from power, there is at least a possibility of returning to diplomacy, de-escalation, and meaningful non-proliferation efforts, much like the Iran nuclear deal, which was successful and Iran was complying in full as verified by independent agencies until Trump unilaterally broke that deal. And by the way, history gives us a model of nuclear non-proliferation. In the mid-1980s, the United States and the Soviet Union moved from existential nuclear hostility towards negotiations that helped reduce the risk of annihilation. That kind of diplomacy is still possible, but only if the men driving this escalation are stopped. Yes, men, because it's largely men who keep screwing everything up. The obstacle, of course, is political cowardice. This would require the Republican Party to develop a spine and fulfill its constitutional duty. It would require corporate Democrats to grow a spine and demand an end to this war. Instead, Democratic Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries still refuses to rule out more funding for this illegal attack on Iran with another $50 billion. At present, it seems unlikely that Republicans and corporate Democrats will grow a spine or a conscience. But that unlikelihood is not an excuse for silence when the alternative is mass death. So in conclusion, here's the bottom line. This is not a red versus blue issue. This is not left versus right. This is working class people versus billionaires, civilians versus war planners, constitutional government versus authoritarian impulse. This is why the culture wars must stop. Because as bad as things are, they can and will get much worse if we don't act. Trump has not ruled out the worst options. He's not ruled out sending American troops into a catastrophic ground war. And he's not going to send his children. He's going to send your children and my children. Whether you're red or blue, he will send our children to die for his illegal war. He has not ruled out further escalation. He's in fact said that it will get 20 times worse for Iran if they don't unconditionally surrender, which Iran will not do. And too many members of Congress have already admitted that they will do nothing more than issue strongly worded statements. And by the way, there's a deeper pattern here that should disturb every single person. Back in 2013, Trump claimed that Obama would bomb Iran to distract from his own failures. In 2023, J.D. Vance warned against repeating in Iran the same mistakes made in Iraq. Now they both are doing exactly what they accused others of doing. That is not irony. It is the operating logic of fascist politics. Accuse the other side of the crime you are preparing to commit yourself. The legal and moral stakes here are immense. Congress must act now to stop this war, cut off funding for unauthorized escalation, and reassert that the Constitution is not optional. And to those cheering this war from a distance, understand what you are cheering for. Possible nuclear confrontation, higher prices for families already struggling to make ends meet, and the deaths of ordinary soldiers and countless civilians all over the world. We need option 4, and we need it immediately. Trump must be removed from office through impeachment. Otherwise, his war machine will create irreparable harm on a global scale. If we fail to stop this now, history will not say we were uninformed. It will say we were warned and did too little to stop it. Thank you for tuning in to Let's Address This with Qasim Rashid. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so we can continue to create this content to protect your human rights and our democracy.